Now's the time to be part of the team at Team Toyota. Step up to the plate with a winning lineup of new Toyota models like the new 4Runner, Grand Highlander, and the all-new 2026 RAV4. Or find something perfect for your game plan and your budget with over 300 certified used Toyotas available. And don't sweat a trip to the IL. Our service and collision centers will have you back in the game in no time. So slide into one of our 3 locations, Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or take a swing online at teamtoyota.net. This is Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. That is Sean Kane, the producer of Phillies Pre- and Post-Game Live. I am Spencer McKercher, digital video producer here at NBC Sports Philadelphia. Sean Kane, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Spence. Never a dull moment in Phillies land.
No, it is not, dude.
We had Dave Dombrowski, JT Realmuto, Rob Thomson, all talking today.
We even had Tanner Banks, Otto Kemp.
Yeah.
Before we get started.
Yes, sir.
I got a new facial hair. And
mustache looks great.
Thank you. We'll get into mustache talk a little later.
Mm-hmm.
New fresh cut for you.
Yeah, I got a haircut, Spence.
Looks good.
I don't like it to get too long, and I was kind of out of control by my standards lately, so needed to shape it up a little bit.
It looks fantastic.
No mustache, though.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. And this, talk about the hair. It's been... I don't know if my hair knows what to do without a hat, and it's been 4 days in the last week.
It's getting to be the norm for you, the no hat look. I like it.
I don't know, man. I
like
know.
it.
We're cooked. We're cooked either way.
We're at the ballpark doing big things today. You can't be rocking the casual hats.
That's exactly it. Exactly it.
Yeah.
We'll get into that first.
Okay.
So really cool. Ahead, at some point here in this podcast, we are going to toss to a one-on-one that I did with manager Rob Thomson. Really cool moment.
Yeah, awesome.
It was great, man. He was fantastic. We got a one-on-one with Otto Kemp and Tanner Banks as well. So that's where the mustache talk, because they both walked in and looked at me and they're like, "Oh, I like your stash." I was like, "Fellas, I like yours as well."
There you go. Mustache guys.
It was great, man. It was great. The full interview with Rob Thomson, one-on-one, went about 13 minutes long. That will come out next week sometime. We'll attach it to the pod, but we are going to have a little teaser at some point, and then probably the weeks leading up to spring training, we'll throw Otto and Tanner Banks in there as well. And it was good to hear from them and their little scrums today.
Yeah.
It was great, but I think
some context, this is kind of their winter tour of the Phillies.
Correct.
This week they do a handful of events in the community. Rob Thomson's in town. A few players are in town. Christopher Sanchez among them. You mentioned Otto Kemp and Tanner Banks. But part of it is they have a little media availability. And they had a broader one in the clubhouse at CBP today.
Yes.
Where all media outlets were able to kind of ask questions just like they would after a game in the clubhouse. But in addition to that, you were able to secure a one-on-one, and you represented the network asking the questions for Rob Thomson, Otto Kemp, Tanner Banks. So really cool to have that, man. And I looked at a few pieces of it, and it looks really good. Some good stuff from Topper.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. It was great. Shout out to Tom Finer, the man, the myth, the legend with all things cameras. That guy is a legend, man. And he made everything look really great. So that clip will play here at some point in this pod. But other than that, how you doing? You live in, I know, like we said, busy Tuesday.
Yeah.
Didn't really expect it. I did the Flyers last night.
Yep.
So then I slept in.
Yep.
And I woke up to just a firestorm of things as it was happening. JT Realmuto, Dave Dombrowski, and Rob Thomson all met with the media via Zoom on Tuesday. And man, oh man, there is some content.
Yeah, a lot
in
was
that
said.
meeting.
Yeah.
In that meeting. We'll play JT at some point here too, but just your immediate takeaways from that entire ordeal.
Yeah, JT and Dave Dombrowski, I thought were both really, really honest about a number of topics. JT was very good on why the negotiations took so long, kind of the disconnect between him and the Phillies and how much essentially he was worth. He believes, and he has believed for a while, that the catcher position is undervalued in baseball. JT said he thinks it's probably the most important position on the field, and I don't think a whole lot of people would argue with that. So, he is proud, as he said, to he almost enjoys, fighting for that. Like when he had his last contract, the 5-year deal that he signed in 21, that set the bar for the highest annual average value for a catcher in baseball history. He was proud of that, and he wanted to get a fair deal in his mind this year. I know we've talked a lot about a 3-year deal, $45 million, but, he thought that, the Phillies kind of were underestimating his value and how important he is to the team and the games. As he said, I know how the game works. I know how important the catchers are to the pitching plans and everything else. So he was great on that, and I thought Dave Dombrowski was really, really honest about how close they came to signing Bo Bichette, how much it hurt that they couldn't get to the finish line with Bo Bichette. And then he went on to talk about JT and then some broader, statements about, the offseason the Phillies have had and the team. And, of course, he likes the team, which he gets criticized for quite a bit locally and nationally for saying, I like our club. And he does like the club. But, yeah, I thought Dombrowski, I guess maybe we start there with what he had to say about the Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and I think both being very candid.
Yep.
A bit of a surprise to you. I mean, to me, it caught me off guard a little bit. JT outspoken, but I wouldn't say he's ever been that outspoken, especially in like a Zoom setting, maybe a one-on-one.
Yeah.
But never in a scrum type media Zoom, whatever you want to call it. It was shocking to me. But I'm glad, he's heading into his age 35 season, like you said. And there's a bunch of incentives that came out with that, too. I want to get to that before we toss to Dave. So according to AP, JT has an incentive structure of a maximum of $5 million per year. So it's $2 million for the All-Star election via fan vote, $1 million for an All-Star selection non-fan vote, $1 million to win the Gold Glove, $1 million to win the Silver Slugger, and $2 million for a top 10 MVP finish.
Okay.
So
lofty incentives.
Exactly. Do that with what you will. Then he is now the second highest paid catcher heading into 2026. Only Will Smith is making $1 million more than JT will next year. Sean Murphy will also make $15 million. And you have Kyle Raleigh, who, in my opinion, was the AL MVP last season. He'll make $12.7 million.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, JT was honest. I was honestly more surprised, not surprised, but kind of, I guess surprised is the word for it, that Dave Dombrowski kind of got into the Bichette situation. Because usually you'll hear executives, when they're asked about a player who didn't sign with them on another team, well, we don't get into negotiations. We don't like to talk about that. Player on a different team. But, not only did he come clean, basically, Dombrowski, about, we didn't have anything done, but we thought it was getting done. We thought we had an agreement. Nothing was signed, and you have to sign kind of that understanding of agreement for something to become official. But we thought it was going to happen, so much so that they kind of told JT's representatives that, hey, listen, this is probably going to happen, so you might want to explore your other options. Because once we commit $200 million to Bo Bichette, we're not going to have any money to give JT Realmuto. So he was great on that. And then, the money quote I thought was, he was asked when you didn't get it done, how frustrating was it? And he said it was a gut punch. He said, this has happened to me quite a bit over the years. You think you're going to get to the finish line. You think it's going to happen, and suddenly it doesn't at the last minute. It's a gut punch for that day. It's really tough, but you can't sit there and wallow in it. You have to kind of pick yourself up, dust yourself off. And then he went on to say they were fortunate that JT still hadn't signed with anybody, and they were able to at least go back to JT. But I just thought it was interesting to hear him talk about he thought it was going to happen and how much it hurt him that it didn't. I know you got into that with Rob Thomson as well today, but it was pretty interesting stuff, and you could tell that they were pretty frustrated that it didn't happen, and they were pretty upset that it didn't happen. But as Dave said, life goes on.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the only thing I'm really worried about. And Todd Zalecki had the report that supposedly the front office was livid.
Yeah.
Understandably so. But the only thing that concerns me, right before we're going to throw to Dave right now in his comments.
Okay.
But before we lead into that, the tension between both of them, it was a very, uneasy, in my opinion, media availability. It was very, and JT kept saying the Phillies. It was interesting, man. I don't know. It kind of made me feel weird about it. I didn't love it. I didn't love it at all.
Yeah, it's a business. JT understands it.
He does.
Dombrowski certainly understands it.
He
does.
Yeah,
it was very. I thought it was honestly as a part of the media. I thought it was pretty cool that rather than getting these canned responses of and we're happy to be back, and JT to kind of take us inside what was going on with the negotiations, what the sticking points were. He thinks he was being undervalued, and obviously Dave to kind of talk about that and also talk about the Bichette stuff, I thought was really cool to kind of get some insight on that.
Very interesting. We're going to toss to Dave right now. You'll hear his comments about the entire thing, the Bo Bichette negotiations, and as well as JT. So toss it over to Dave real quick from his media availability, and we'll be back on the other side.
I can't say that we ever thought it was done because there's a difference between, we thought we were very close to having a deal done. We thought it was going to happen, but it wasn't done. And so there's a difference between the two. And as I've explained to some other people, that it's a situation where in baseball, and agents run things differently between themselves. They do things in different ways. Until you sign a memo of understanding, you don't have a deal done. And we did not sign one of those. And it wasn't that we weren't moving towards that direction. It isn't, didn't think that we were going to get there based upon our conversations. But we did not get to that point. So I can't say that I ever thought we had it. I did think we were going to get a deal done. How do you get to? First of all, whenever you have, and this is not the first time this has ever happened to me. Okay. And sometimes it actually happens more than you would think through free agency and trades. I mean, I've been to many times where I thought we were going to make a trade, and then all of a sudden they go in a different direction. It's a gut punch. I mean, you feel it. You that day you are very upset, I guess is the way to say it. But you have to pick yourself off and shake it off. I mean, because you can't just wallow in what took place. So after a day of feeling that way, or a time period, you need to move forward. And so that's how you handle it. And again, it's happened to me more than you could count in your career. And so that's what you have to do. We did rebound in the sense that we signed JT right away, which I'm very fortunate that we're very fortunate he didn't sign somewhere else. And I think overall of the wintertime, I like our club. We have a good club. You know, I've just said it's a situation. People forget we re-signed Schwartz. If we hadn't re-signed him, I don't know how I would be feeling about the wintertime. As you could see, there was a lot of competition for him. I look at our club with signing JT, which was also a priority for us. And if we didn't sign JT, and no offense to the catchers that we have with Marchand and Stubbs, we would have been in a position we would have tried to add somebody somehow, some way, because I don't think we'd have felt comfortable going through a year without having somebody else back there. So bringing JT back was huge for us. Close. We thought we had a chance to make another deal, which fell through at the last minute. That would have changed perhaps the direction that we would have gone. We did have some other alternatives on things we would have pursued. But in one sense, when I say this, I mean, it's not something that just at the last second we've been looking for in the winter time. I talked to JT's agent. His name's Matt Ricardo. We call him Cotto. And as a fine individual and does a good job with the agency, but as Cotto had told me, he says, Dave, I've talked to you more this winter time than I've talked to my fiance. I've had so many conversations with him over the winter, starting right after the season. And we always wanted to bring JT back. That was always a priority for us. They knew it. We also knew that he wanted to come back. And it really became a situation, just there was a disagreement as far as dollars were concerned, is what it came down to. And we just couldn't really bridge that gap for an extended time period. So with that, and really kind of leading into the winter meetings, we had to at least be open-minded because we didn't know if we would close the gap, even though we had the mutual desire to do that. So we ended up being in a position where we discussed other catching alternatives. They knew we were doing that. We were very open in that regard because I didn't want to catch them off guard based upon our what we think of JT. And again, you can think very highly of somebody, and I could not say more positive things about any individual that I know and his family, with JT and Lexi and their kids. It really just came down to we just had a disagreement in the dollars. And so we couldn't bridge that gap, and we didn't bridge that gap to the very end. So we had all different type of things we were pursuing. Now, something came out at the end here that we were very close on. But a lot of times you have other discussions as far as free agencies and trades that are being had, and they just don't get out. And we had many of those type of things. So it was one of those where it became very close to not happening, but we're thrilled that JT's back because that was always a priority for us over the wintertime. We think he was the best catcher out there as far as free agency was concerned.
Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. I mean, like you said, I think the gut punch answer was really, like you said, you don't really, members of the media, you and I, like, it was really cool. You don't really get that information from GMs, from president of baseball or any operations, really. And it was funny, I was talking to our buddy Alex Rain here, who normally does all the Eagles stuff, and he compared it to Howie, of like, Howie doesn't normally dive into that stuff.
No.
Like, he's like, hey, negotiations are negotiations. We're going to keep
that private.
Yeah, keep it private.
Yeah.
I like that Dave kind of opened up about it.
Yeah.
And I think him opening up about it also explains the fact that he was pissed, for lack of a better word. Like, he was not happy of how that settled.
He did mention Kyle Tucker, too. He thought that played a role in it.
Bingo.
He thought when the Mets, which we mentioned last week on the podcast, once Tucker chose the Dodgers over the Mets real quickly kind of moved quick to kind of look for some consolation prize, and they found it in Bichette with the shorter deal and the higher annual average value. And he was asked, too, but I know you're going to get to JT, he was asked, Dombrowski, do you think there's a kind of narrative out there that you guys were kind of played a little bit by the Bichette camp? Do you think it was was it a genuine interest on Bo Bichette's behalf that he was seriously considering coming to play for the Phillies? And he said, Dave Dombrowski said, you never know what the other side's thinking, but I did think that he was serious about coming here. He wanted to play here, went on to talk about how things kind of unfolded with Tucker. So obviously he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I think we got used, but I think there's some truth to it. I do think that the Tucker thing really played into it. I think Bo Bichette really probably took into consideration taking $200 million from the Phillies and coming to Philadelphia and playing for a really good team, but it just didn't end up that way.
I truly believe that them being the Mets, missing out on Tucker really just set the domino off. Because I do think I don't think Bo didn't want to come play here. Again, it came down to money.
Right.
$42 million a year.
Yeah.
Probably for 1 year, maybe. Might opt on.
Hit free agency again.
Bingo. Yeah. All right, we're going to toss to JT's comments now. Interesting. I love that he was very candid about the entire thing. Because like I said, we don't really hear that side of JT Realmuto opening up about negotiations and how he feels about his position, his life, and even just being a member of the Phillies. So without further ado, here's JT Realmuto's comments from Tuesday.
There was, there towards the end, there was a short time where obviously there's no secret that, the Phillies had other opportunities, and then myself as well, I was looking at other teams. There at the end, it got a little stressful to where, we thought there was an opportunity or a chance that we weren't going to be back, which, obviously wasn't ideal for us. We made it pretty clear that we wanted to be with the Phillies from the start. So luckily that didn't last too long, and we were able to come together and get a deal done. Yeah, it was different just in the sense that, where I'm at in my career, the goals were really kind of different for us and obviously for the Phillies as well. The main thing for me, I know how the game works, and I know there's certain values on players. And at the end of the day, I just value myself and what I do for the team and the clubhouse differently than what the Phillies did for a while. So that's why it took longer than it maybe should have. And as far as the team goes, I think we shape up pretty good. Obviously we had a good year last year, won the division, didn't work out for us in the postseason, but we're bringing a lot of the same guys back and adding some new good pieces. So I'm excited for this year. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird spot where, for me, it sucks that, the catchers, in my opinion, catchers are just undervalued in this game as far as contracts and dollars go. I truly believe it's, one of, if not the most important position on the field. And so I just enjoy fighting for that. I believe in that value. And the Phillies did for a long time. I know they believe in it as well. It's just the dollars look different. And luckily, after the Phillies missed out on an opportunity there at the end, they called back and were able to make something happen and improve their offer and get to a place that we were happy with. It was less about setting a bar or raising anything, because I know I'm pretty self-aware. I didn't have the last couple of years. I haven't really been happy with my performance. So it was more, it was about my family for me and their comfort and how much we love Philadelphia. And there was, like I said, there was only a short period of time this offseason where I even thought I wasn't coming back to Philadelphia. The whole time, this is where we wanted to be. And things got a little hairy there at the end, but I'm glad we're back here and this is where we want to be the whole time. So really my focus was just on my legacy here and being able to finish my career with the Phillies and not having to uproot my family and start over.
We're back. Man, like I said, going into it, I loved him being very candid about everything.
Right.
Now, at 35 years old, do you think JT Realmuto, I respect the decision on trying to get value as a catcher, because I just showed, or we mentioned the numbers earlier. Like Cal Raleigh is making $12.7 million.
Right.
He's one of the best hitters in baseball, probably the best catcher in baseball. He's making $3 million less than JT Realmuto in 2026. So I'm fully on board with that. But like, if you're JT and you're the Phillies, I think it was a fair discussion of like, hey man, it's not that we don't value you, but like we have to figure out our terms on like, hey man, you're 35 years old. I don't necessarily know if this will be worth it down the road.
Yeah, you're going to be 35, and the offensive numbers clearly spell out that you're offensively at least in decline, which isn't out of the ordinary for a soon-to-be 35-year-old catcher. But JT went on to say today that he knows, you heard him there say, I know I'm self-aware. I know that my last few years haven't been up to par. But he went on to say a little later that he doesn't think offensively what's going on with him is an age thing. He thinks it's a couple other issues, mechanical stuff with his swing. Who knows? Of course, that's what he's going to say, and we'll see how it all plays out. But he seems to be pretty confident in himself, being able to kind of figure it out. And regardless of how old he is, he thinks he can get back on track offensively and kind of get back to where he was a couple of years ago. So we'll see. But yeah, no, the Phillies, I think, had a leg to stand on.
Correct.
Offensively, he's in decline. He's going to be 35 years old. I'm sure they offered him what they considered a fair deal. He obviously hammered home the point about catchers being undervalued, and we all realized, and we all talked about how important he is to their pitching staff and how important he is to their game planning and how much the pitchers love him. So it's, it's a negotiation. What wins out in the end? Is it that defensive game planning, pitchers love him, or is it an older catcher in decline offensively? And I think if you look at it, I think JT kind of won the negotiation because the Phillies, I think, were a little desperate when Bichette told them no, and oh boy, we got to get something done here, and they upped their offer, as JT said.
Now, if you're JT too, I don't know. I have the saying in my head. I think you can pick up like seconds, basically. But like, is that like if you're JT or you just
seconds? I get you. I know where you're going with that.
Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like they had Bo, and then they were like, "All right, JT, come on back."
Right.
Like, is that going to sit well with him for the next 3 years?
I think he understands it's a business, and I think, obviously more than a lot of players, he understands it's a business. You just heard him talking about the negotiations, and yeah, I get it. It's human nature to be like, whatever, like you weren't going to sign me if you signed Bo Bichette. You didn't want me. But at the end of the day, he ended up getting a deal more to his liking, so I'm sure he's happy with that. And again, I think it's a little bit of a divide between the front office and the players, and I think he's on good terms with everybody in that clubhouse. I'm sure they're happy he's back. So whatever hard feelings there may have been between him and Dave Dombrowski and Preston Mattingly and whoever else was negotiating, I think they moved past that, especially a veteran player like JT.
For sure. And again, it goes down to the decline isn't just offensively either. Yes, you're not even like your performance, pop time, you're still one of the best defensive catchers, but there's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to catch 150 games.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
or at
you're
least
going
not
to be
130 or whatever, 120,
correct.
Whatever he typically catches.
Right. It's going to probably diminish slowly over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Probably by the time that contract ends, we might only be seeing him 100 games. So I think that went into negotiations too. And again, that's fair if you're the Phillies.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. We mentioned in the last podcast, I'm very happy he's back. You needed it.
Makes him better for 26, no doubt.
Bingo. So I think all's well that ends well.
Yeah.
And we're excited for JT Realmuto to be back with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Indeed.
In 2026 and beyond. All right, quick ad break. Sorry for all the breaks. Busy day, busy day. A lot to get to.
No doubt.
But on the other side, we'll play the topper clip. Very excited about that. We'll react to that, and then we'll wrap up. So quick throw it on over to our friends at Philly Sports Strips.
Spring training right around the corner. So escape the cold and come catch the Phillies in Clearwater with NBC Sports Philadelphia and Philly Sports Strips. We're teaming up to bring fans the most unforgettable Philly spring training experience yet. The trip includes Phillies game tickets, beachfront accommodations, round-trip travel, all-inclusive tailgates, and much more. Plus, appearances from Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, and of course, NBC Sports Philadelphia's own Ben Davis. Book your trip today at phillysportstrips.com.
Welcome back to Phillies Talk, presented by Team Toyota. Sean Kane over there. I am Sons McKercher. Our
we just got word from our buddy Clayton Dyers. We sit down and record this on Tuesday night. Christopher Sanchez rang the bell for the Sixers.
Phillies are in town.
Phillies
making
are
the
in
rounds.
town, dude. Phillies are in town. It is cool. You mentioned, like, Auto Camp, they did a whole thing yesterday with a bunch of kids. Like, it was basically like a camp for kids. It was great. I think Tanner was there. Rob was obviously there, too. So it's these guys that it's just good to see some faces again, and it gets you ready for spring training.
Yeah.
So really cool opportunity. Got to sit down with Rob Thomson. And like I said, we spoke for about 15 minutes. There's so much good stuff, but we're just going to send a little teaser. And it's basically everything that we've been talking about. And Dave Dombrowski came out and said he likes his club. And the whole running it back, whatever it may be. And Rob, afterwards in the scrum before we play this, said, we changed 20 to 25% of our roster. They added 3 more guys in the bullpen. They have guys like Justin Crawford. He mentioned Andrew Painter.
Yep.
He mentioned the new right fielder, which I thought was funny. He never called him Adolis, and even in our interview, the one-on-one, he didn't call him Adolis.
Right fielder.
So he just the new right fielder.
He might try to figure out the pronunciation.
Good.
I know,
We were the same
Adolis,
boat.
Adolis.
Yeah. Bingo.
So he's a right fielder.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where, yes, they're not technically running it back. And I'm glad he's echoing that. I see the reaction on social media. But it is what it is. And it's a new team. It's not the same team as last year. A lot of guys have left. A lot of guys are still here. And there's some new faces. But I'm excited to play this little teaser with Rob Thomson and myself, talking about Bichette and his comments on Bichette, completely different than Dave Dombrowski's. And really just kind of, that term of running it back and what Rob thinks of it as well.
And then when you look back at this offseason, really you guys addressed that major question mark. In my opinion, that's re-signing Kyle Schwarber. You bring back JT Realmuto as well, as announced today on Monday. Those 2 guys, leaders in the clubhouse. But in your opinion, what does that do for the clubhouse, not only your lineup, but the clubhouse as well, bringing those 2 back?
Yeah, it's huge. Schwarber's the big voice in the clubhouse, and he's the guy that keeps the heartbeat under control. And JT's the guy on the field that keeps the game under control. He runs the game. Obviously, we've talked about his preparation and how he runs the pitching staff, and it's just that would have been a big loss if we had lost JT. And those are things that you can't measure, and he's worth every penny as far as I'm concerned.
With you. I think Phillies fans agree with that. Now, the addition of JT and Kyle, more additions, but you lose out on Bichette. And I know some of the rumors kind of swirling around is upsetting and all that, but in your opinion, losing out on a guy like Bichette when you guys thought you had the right offer for that, what does that do for your mindset heading into this year?
It's disappointing for about 1 minute, and then you got to move on. You can't do anything about it. It's in the past. I always talk about control, or do the things that you can control. Worry about that, and you can't control that, so you got to move on. And I think looking at this year's ball club, I think we've really improved our bullpen with Keller, Jonathan Bolin, Chase Shugart, Kyle Backus from the left side. I think we've got a lot of weapons there, a lot of people to go to, high-end guys. And also we got a lot of optional guys. Add a new right fielder who we think is going to take a jump back to where he was. We're infusing some youth into the lineup with Crawford and with Painter. We got Otto Kemp, and we got more youth coming. So, I know that people think that we haven't turned the roster over, but we're going to have 5 or 6 new guys on our roster. That's 20-25% of your roster that you've changed. So, and we're coming off a 96-win season and a division title. So I know that it's frustrating for some people, but I feel really good about it.
Well, Rob, yeah. I love the answer. And it's the answer that we've been getting for a while. Yeah, they're a 96-win baseball team. They're back-to-back NL East champions. They got to get it done.
Yeah, they got to get it done in the postseason. But you can tell Rob Thomson takes exception to the whole notion that they're running it back. He spelled it out right there for you. 20 to 25% of the team's going to look different. The 26-man roster is going to be a little different. The young guys, new relievers, Andrew Painter hopefully is in that starting rotation when they break camp. But no, the fans' frustration is the main core remains the same. Not just the main core. Like, I don't think anybody was looking to run Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Zach Wheeler out of town, but I think people would have liked to maybe see somebody on the periphery, kind of a mainstay. I'm not going to, get into, well, I can name some names. An Alec Boehm, a Brandon Marsh, a Bryson Stott, somebody of that tier maybe traded and bring in a new position player, bring in a new outfielder. People aren't thrilled with the idea of the Marsh-Kemp platoon. They're high on Otto Kemp, clearly. So we'll see. We'll see if they do end up bringing somebody else in that outfielder right-handed bat. But, I think that's the frustration with the fans is they wanted a Bo Bichette. They wanted a new high-profile position player to shake up that lineup, pump some life into that lineup that, as you referenced, has kind of let them down a little bit in October. But, Rob Thomson, you're right. He makes some good points. There is going to be some new blood on the team. Is Justin Crawford going to perform? Is Andrew Painter going to perform? How much will Otto Kemp help? Aiden Miller, who we talked about a lot, he's probably going to be up at some point in 26. So we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. But interesting to me that Rob Thomson has heard the running it back, and it feels pretty strongly that that's not the case.
He's definitely heard it, and Dave obviously has heard it in the winter meeting, said he didn't like that phrase. It's fun. It's I don't know. It was a great interview, and even not to give the whole thing away, but there was another question I asked about kind of this young talent coming up and what that does for his mindset and the motivation coming into this season. Because Rob has said multiple times that one of his favorite things about baseball and being a manager is seeing these young kids make their major league debut and see them develop into young men and to young, great players. And so his answer to that was pretty cool. We'll have to wait for next week for that too. But I think the infusion of this young talent is going to help this team.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be right away. Justin Crawford might struggle in April and May.
Yeah.
Andrew Painter might struggle for the first few starts in his big league career. It's okay. They're young kids still, and I think just this infusion of talent is really big for the Phillies, and I'm very excited. Really excited for you guys to check out the rest of the interview along with Otto Kemp and Tanner Banks.
Yeah, we'll have those interviews coming up. I know you'll have them digitally soon. We're going to have them on TV, I think, the week before spring training. So a couple of weeks, we're going to have a little series where we'll have your interview with Rob, we'll have your interview with Otto, we'll have your interview with Tanner. Spence sits down with the Phillies.
It's ridiculous, man.
Get us ready for spring training.
It doesn't really feel real.
Yeah.
But here we are. I'm excited about it.
Those guys are pretty excited to sit down with you, from what I heard.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Big honor for them.
The Kemp and Banks interviews are fun. We had some fun. They're great dudes, man. It was really cool to spend some time with them and kind of pick their brains about certain things, including Otto Kemp got into detail really what went wrong with the 2 injuries that he went through.
Yeah.
And basically battling back through this. He said he kind of was looking forward to a low-key offseason. It's really turned into a grinded-out offseason as he tries to prepare for spring training after getting a shoulder cleanup surgery and a knee cleanup surgery. I'll let him dive into much more details about those injuries when that the whole interview releases. Also, last thing, we talk about hair. I mean, the hair is going backwards for me, and you can kind of see it. That's fine. Whatever. It's cool to have.
Don't sell yourself short.
But I'll tell you what, man. I want to see Rob Thomson without a hat more often.
Great head of hair.
Goodness.
Great head of hair. Sometimes for his pregame availability, most times he's got the hat. Sometimes he'll do it without the hat, and you see him in the offseason quite a bit. But you went hair to hair with Rob.
Did.
You went stash for stash with Tanner and Otto.
That's
so
right.
You were holding your own over there.
Tried to, man.
Yeah.
Tried to hold my own, and hope I did everyone proud.
Absolutely. The interview's one thing, but you got to make the appearance.
Got to make it look decent. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there was a point where Tanner Banks was giving me shaving tips. We'll get to that later.
Good deal.
All right, as we wrap up here too, the Hall of Fame, Sean Kane.
Yes.
The Baseball Hall of Fame just got announced on Tuesday night here, right as we got started.
Class of 26.
Class of 2026, and it's 2 center fielders, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones. Really 2 of the best center fielders of all time.
Yep.
Since 1981, there's only been 2 other center fielders been elected, Ken Griffey Jr. and Kirby Puckett.
Wow.
So Beltran and Jones joined some elite company with that, but well-deserved for both of those guys.
I think so, yeah. But well-rounded players, 5-tool guys. Beltran had some great success in the postseason. Obviously, Andrew Jones played in the postseason. And Andrew Jones defensively, but both of them were very good defenders. But Andrew Jones, growing up and watching him play center field, he was the best in the business. 10 gold gloves. Only him, Griffey, and Willie Mays, another great center fielder, are the only center fielders in baseball history with 10 or more gold gloves. So good company there. And, you can't argue with either of those selections. No. But I know there are some Phillies angles, obviously, we're going to discuss, too.
Bingo. I'm very happy for those guys.
Yeah.
2 guys that, I grew up with, and watching them be those type of players and now finally be recognized as Hall of Famers, good for them.
Yeah.
Definitely clap for them. So Beltran gets 358 votes, which is 84%. Andrew Jones gets 333 votes, which is 78.4%. So that gets them in.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in third, Sean Kane, our guy.
That's the headline to me.
That's our buddy, too, by the way. Remember that?
Chase Utley, friend of the podcast.
Friend of the podcast.
Friend
Chase
of the
Utley.
podcast, Chase.
Finishes third. 251 votes, 59%.
So he's pushing 60%. He received the most votes of any player not to reach that 75%, which gets you elected. And he's up 20% from a year ago. He was right around 39 in 25 a year ago, January 25. So he's making some serious progress. This was his third year on the ballot, and he's up to 60%. So he's trending, in my opinion, he's going to get in. He's going to get in, whether that's next year or the year after. Obviously, you get 10 years on the ballot. I don't think it's going to take him 10 years. I think this kind of new shift in voting, where some of these younger voters are valuing different things than some of the older voters did. For instance, Chase Utley, WAR. One of the highest WAR numbers of the players of this generation.
Insane, dude.
His counting numbers, which his career hits, his career home runs, those numbers aren't where you typically would think a Hall of Fame second baseman's. He doesn't have less than 2,000 hits, but his peak, as we all know around here, from 2005 to 2009, 2010, he was the best second baseman in baseball. And I think voters are looking at the peak as opposed to the duration. If you establish yourself over 5-6 years as the best at your position, which he did, and his WAR during those 5-6 seasons is historic. I just think people are looking at that more, and I think the way people are voting is changing, and I think that's a good thing for Chase. I think he's going to get in, and I think it could happen maybe as soon as next year.
I completely agree with you, and I think it's just like Andrew Jones, right? You talk about the peak. Really, he slowed down this process to get Andrew Jones in because he didn't really, basically his post-30, like once he turned 30 and on, he didn't really have the numbers that he had when he was a younger player. And I think that kind of held him back. But like you said, as these younger generational writers now are starting to come up and vote more, I think they were finally like, Andrew Jones' peak was like, he has 10 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with Chase. Really cool. I'm really excited for him, man. I think seeing that progression and to be third, on this list right now is huge. And I think we see him as a Hall of Famer in 2027, which is really cool, man. Definitely friend of the pod. We'll bring him on.
There you go. He'll be honored.
We should go do a live show from his house or something.
Yeah. Last time we got him was on a golf course out in Tahoe, I think. But yeah, I do mention WAR, and I said that several times, obviously, to clarify. Obviously, I think most of our listeners wins above replacement players, and that takes into all factors, hitting and base running and defensively. And Chase obviously was a great hitter, great base runner. And defensively, maybe didn't get the love he locally and during his career, but he's kind of viewed as, in that context, as a really good defensive second baseman, and world champion and 6-time All-Star. So he's got the honors and the accolades to give him a pretty compelling case. And Jimmy is kind of like the opposite of Chase in that he has the counting numbers. He's the Phillies' all-time hits leaders, well over 2,000. He has, for a shortstop, his stolen bases, his home runs, his extra base hits are all Hall of Fame caliber. Gold Glover, very good defensive shortstop. We all know that. But he kind of seems to be, he's got a little momentum, certainly not the Chase Utley momentum, where I think some of the voters don't view him as he was the best shortstop for an extended period like Utley was at second base.
Sure.
You can argue with that. You can argue with that logic. There's a case to be made for Jimmy Rollins. I happen to believe it's a strong case. But, again, he doesn't seem to be, and that's not to say he's not going to get there one day, but he doesn't seem to be kind of ascending the way Chase is.
I think Jimmy Rollins is a Hall of Famer. That's just straight up my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, and if we have other fans listening, but he's not like the Rockies leader in hits. He beat Mike Schmidt,
right?
Who's the greatest third baseman of all time.
Yeah.
It's not, I think that's alone is saying something. And what he did for the city, and I know the vibes and ego and all that stuff, that doesn't help you in the Hall of Fame, but he's a Hall of Fame player to me, man.
Yeah.
So he sits at 25%.
Yep.
And then our good buddy right below him,
Cole,
our partner,
Cole Hamels,
in his first year gets 23.8%, 101 votes. That's a great start for our guy Cole.
First year on the ballot. I think Jimmy's first year he was right 8 or 9%.
Yeah.
So to start at 23 for Cole is great. And you can look at Cole too. At one point he was one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. 08 World Series MVP, 08 NLCS MVP. So he's got a good case, and he did it. Even after he left Philadelphia in 2015, he had some good years with the Rangers. Then kind of ran out of steam later in his career. Just couldn't stay healthy, but he had a pretty extended. I mean, you talk about from 06 to 16, 17. That's a decade plus of really high level pitching. And pitching, they're viewed differently. There's nobody's getting to 300 wins, at least in my opinion, not anytime soon. Maybe Justin Verlander will pitch till he's 49 years old and try to get there. But the magic numbers that used to get a pitcher into the Hall of Fame don't really apply anymore. So we'll see. We'll see if Cole can get some momentum going too. Obviously, here in Philadelphia, we appreciate his greatness, and we shall see. It's just tough. It's tough for pitchers in the voting, but I think he's off to a pretty decent start.
And to wrap up, the comparison between King Felix Hernandez and Cole, the numbers are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Cole hasn't beaten some major categories. Felix hasn't beaten in some subcategories in terms of like Ks per 9, you know, but Cole has strikeouts and all that other stuff. But he finishes 5th, Felix does, at 196 votes, 46.1. Finishing 4th, right behind Chase, is Andy Pettit with 206 votes and 48.5%. Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez right behind them. And then you have Bobby, Jimmy, and Cole directly behind them. What do you think? Like, is that going to be like maybe Pettit and Chase next year? Is Andy Pettit a Hall of Famer to you? Is King Felix a Hall of Famer? Because in my opinion, Cole winning the World Series MVP and the NLCS MVP, again, those are huge rewards that kind of propel you to be a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Famer more than Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, and with Pettit, like, you factor in the postseason success and experience, but you also factor in the fact that he admitted that he took PEDs.
Right.
And people vote on that how they like, and some guys, but that was before there were regulations on it. He admitted it, and obviously they're going to hold it against some other people like Barry Bonds and Alex Rodriguez, who they're Hall of Fame baseball players. But,
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think I saw somewhere I was looking to see like some of the 27 class like first timers. I think Buster Posey is up next year, which I think to me he's probably going to be a Hall of Fame. I don't think he'll be first ballot, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Cole can rise compared to some of these other guys. And like I said, I think Chase is well on his way. Like it could happen as soon as next year for him.
I hope so, man. Yeah, and then you got the names: Dustin Pedroia right behind Cole, Mark Burley, Omar Vizquel, David Wright, K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, Torrey Hunter, Ryan Braun, Edwin Encarnacion, geez Louise, Shin Chu Chu, and then we'll get to my guy getting 1 vote. This guy was my favorite player, second favorite player growing up.
Okay.
Nick Markakis got a vote, baby.
There you go.
Good for Nick.
Nick Markakis.
Not a Hall of Famer, but good for him. I'm really happy he got a vote.
Yeah.
All right, we're landing the plane.
We're landing it.
You got anything else?
No, I think we're good. Big
Cats.
day today. Big news.
Big day.
Big news this morning. I noticed off the top you mentioned that you were sleeping, JT. You know what I was doing? I was at 7:45 this morning. Goodness. I was standing at a bus stop.
Yep.
And
freezing.
I think the temperature was like 13, but it felt like 4. So don't take for granted that these days where you can sleep in your nice warm bed.
Trust me, I do not.
Soon enough, you're going to be at bus stops.
Trust me, I do not.
You're going to be hanging at bus stops. I was all over the J. So JT, oh boy, I'm up. I'm raring. I'm ready to go. But
I'm not gonna lie. I woke up. I left here at like 1:30, a little late night. I mean, Flyers are out west.
Yep.
So we got Vegas last night, so I didn't finish work till about 1. Didn't fall asleep till 3:30. Had a big day. I want to sleep in, get my sleep a little bit. So woke up and was just like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
It was chaos. Last thing before we go, dude, we might get like 20 inches of snow on Friday.
Yeah.
Or this weekend.
It's exciting.
Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I like, the kids are excited. They like the snow. I don't like shoveling 20 inches. I don't mind shoveling. I like playing in the snow myself.
Sure.
But that's a lot of snow.
That's a lot of snow.
It's starting to sound pretty serious.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We've never really, I've been in the city for 8 years now, and I haven't had like a true snow day.
Oh yeah.
Like there's not been like the major, not even like, 6 to 8 inches. We haven't got that. Like it's always been these like small dusting stuff. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know about 20, but we'll figure it out. Stay safe if you're listening to this in the snow.
Yes.
Cozying up, got some hot chocolate, hanging out. Thanks for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast. It's been a long day, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. We will catch you guys soon. Hopefully there's news. They're done, I guess, right? Like
never say never. He got 3 weeks to Clearwater. Dave Dombrowski's not going to tip his hand.
He mentioned the starting rotation depth.
Yeah, a little maybe a starting pitcher. I don't think he indicated. I don't think they're going to pivot to a Cody Bellinger or a Framber Valdez, but
Zach
there could be moves still be made. There could be
Gallen.
moves. Get a right-handed bat in that outfield.
Get Zach Gallen in here for a 1-year, $15 million deal.
Ooh, okay.
Do it. Make it 10 mil. I don't know.
Yeah. Wouldn't be opposed.
Either way, I'd be happy about it. So, thanks for listening. One final time. That's Sean Kane. I'm Spencer McKercher. Keep an eye out next week. We'll have the full Rob Thomson one-on-one interview on the latest Phillies Talk podcast. But until then, we'll catch you guys soon.